Welcome back to MMAnytt and Studio MMA, and we're here with the president of the Swedish Mixed Martial Arts Federation, George Sallfelt, and also August Wallén, who's the president of the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation. Welcome to the studio, guys.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I think we have some interesting news. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Tell us about it,
George.
Okay, I can go first. Well, as you know, the Swedish MMA Federation has been in operation for quite some time now, and we have had some very successful years. And with this government grant that we have formed a very thorough way of working with both professional events and amateur events. And seeing as we have this already set up and this experience, we felt that this could be brought out into the world, and August was the first person to put this in motion. And so today we're very proud to announce that there is an International MMA Federation that will strive for making this sport bigger, and also the presence of the amateur side of the sport more recognized and more widely known.
August. So you're the new president.
Yep.
And what does that entail? What does your job title entail?
The job here for us now will be to try to organize and try to get all countries to get national federations going. The sport of MMA has moved backwards compared to other sports. From the beginning, maybe you did football, on your backyard, and then it became teams, and the teams started to facing other teams nationally. And then you had many countries that had teams, and they started competing to each other. And now you have professional leagues. If you look at MMA, the development has been backwards. We have had international pro events for quite some time, but we don't even have an international amateur league. We don't have an international federation. So the big thing now is to organize MMA in the way the other sports are organized to get international recognition. And my job will be to help other countries, of course, to organize, try to unite, and in some countries there could be polarization, different teams and so on, and try to get everyone to unite into federations like George successfully has been able to do in Sweden. And I will be the person to talk to. I mean the one who will, of course, talk to media and so on. You need to have a front person, and that will be me. Now,
George told me a very interesting story earlier on today, and with the beautiful background that we have, the beautiful view, if you look behind you guys, it was a story where you two sat together in 1996. You obviously known each other for quite some time. Why don't you guys tell us about that story?
Yeah, I could start off. I mean, there was this situation that we faced in Sweden that martial arts on the full contact level would be banned. So there was a ban for pro boxing, and there were political there was a political will to expand that ban, but then there was quite a few of us that worked towards not having this ban but a regulation. I mean, you could clearly see that there is a lot of positive values and many good things created in this sport and in other martial arts, and so we brought that forward and showed that a ban would be devastating, not just for the athletes but also for society. So and I think the legislator did a good thing. They recognized this fact, and however they also said that there are some risks, so we need to regulate these sports. So that's basically the outcome. But when we started this work, we said, okay, so what is the vision? What do we strive for? And we said, yeah, well, it would be to have the UFC come to the Globe Arena, and we laughed, because at that point in time that was quite unthinkable, and today this is where we are, and at the same time a new vision has been formed, and that is to have the International MMA Federation gathering everybody into one organization where we can all strive to develop this sport further.
Now, it took you 16 years to get the UFC to arrive in Sweden, headlining a Swedish mixed martial art fighter, and alongside 4 other professional fighters as well, obviously. How long until... let me ask you this. You said vision. Having mixed martial arts in the Olympics at an amateur level, is that something that's been discussed?
That's the long-time goal, of course.
Can we expect that before? Although obviously the Olympics are every 4 years, it's going to take another 16 years. Do you think?
That depends, of course, on the good job we do. It also depends on if a country that has the host Olympics can bring an exhibition sport into the Olympics. And that's often how new sports come into the Olympics. So can we get a country that hosting the Olympics to put MMA on as an exhibition sport? So can we do that? It could go faster. But it's going to be a long time job, of course, and you have other martial arts wanting to come into the Olympics. The first goal for us is to get organized all over the world. Second is to get international competitions like World Championship and European Championship. And then is to get, when we have competitions on international level, it's about getting into the sport accord to be recognized as a serious sport. And after that, we're looking into the Olympics. And I mean, if we did that in 16 years, we would probably have done a really good job. To be honest, it could take much longer time to get into the Olympics, and some sports never do. But
right.
Of course, we're going to try to work as fast as possible.
Now, with International Federation, what's going to be your main job? And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're actually being supported by the UFC, is that correct? And if so, to what extent?
Yeah, I mean, this federation needs funding in order to work.
Right.
Everything needs funding to work, and I think there are a couple of things that are important to say in this on this issue. And one thing is that yes, the UFC has heard about this and acknowledged that this is a good initiative. So they will support the International MMA Federation with donations. But the International MMA Federation is totally autonomous. Anybody can donate money. You could donate money.
Great,
and
thanks.
I'm sure you will.
I would love to.
Yes, and what you can see, and you can read it on the webpage, is how this money will be used. And it's very clear. We have this vision and we have the promises that we set up. And that is what we will do. So we will not be influenced by any one donor, small or large, for that matter. So another thing is that the board of directors in this federation will all be working pro bono with the governance of this federation. Also, to be clear that the people doing this they're not doing it for money, but actually to make sure that this sport has an infrastructure to build on, from everything to competitions on international levels, amateurs, safety rules, and that it's the same all over the world, as you will see in other sports.
So that's the main. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of work, I'm sure, but those are the main guidelines for this federation, correct?
Yeah, that's the main guidelines, and I get questions today from other magazines and news media about will you have sponsors and so on. I want to emphasize again what George said, that anyone can donate money, but we will never promise to do something for the money. If you sponsor someone, you expect them to push you in some way or advertise you in some way. And this federation will very happy and thankful receive donations from anyone that wants to support. But we will 100% be autonomous and non-profit and democratic. We can never promise anyone anything. So UFC has said that they will support us, both by say that we are something good movement, a federation they want to support, but also financially, and we're very happy about this, and we think that will push the development in a pace that we could never do otherwise. But they can never, they can never make us move in a way. We'll never let financial interests on profit level push us to do something we otherwise wouldn't do. We're totally autonomous.
Unfortunately, we are forced to push by our sponsors, and that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take a break with our sponsors. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Thank you. Welcome back, and it's interesting. And first of all, congratulations. And I like this idea that you have. For example, in California, where I live myself, professional mixed martial arts was allowed, whereas amateur mixed martial arts was banned for a very, very long time. Which, as you mentioned previously, doesn't really make sense in a sport that's very physically demanding. Now, what is it that you guys do differently?
Well, I think we will look at how others work in the world and obviously listen and learn and be open to all ideas. And I think that's very important for an international federation to do, especially at this point in time. There has been some experience where you will see, for instance, a progression from sports that are non-full contact. For instance, you would see BJJ or submission wrestling, where people would start out there and then they would move into semi-contact or contact sports, maybe amateur boxing, and then move towards MMA on an amateur level, and then finally move to pro MMA perhaps, if they have that skill set. And this progression is also something we call the safety ladder, because we often get questions. People see professional MMA on the international level, we see in the UFC, and they ask us, is that what people do? Would a young person go into and do that? So we would say, no, well, there is a ladder to follow, so you would need to have the qualifications to move all the way to what you can see on TV. And I think a good example is perhaps downhill skiing. You could see extreme downhill skiing, but that's not what your children would start doing, right? If competing. So we need to communicate the same message. There is a progression, there is a safety ladder for people to move within.
Which makes complete sense, and I completely agree with you. Now, there's also other federations around, not just in Sweden, but obviously all over Europe. Now, a lot of chefs and a lot of Indians as well. But how do you do this, August?
You're thinking about other international MMA federations
as well, yes. And also going into other countries. What's the idea? What's the vision with that?
First, there is a lot of federations that are actually juridically not federations, there are companies. What is different with this is completely non-profit and democratic. That's the most important things. And there are so-called federations that are actually companies with a goal to make money.
Right.
And I don't say that's something bad, it's just different. And try to get a sport that is governed by a company into sport accord or the Olympics, that's impossible.
Right.
This need to be built up like the other sports on a non-profit and democratic platform. So that's what differs us from many others. Then there is also, of course, other federations that try to build this up. And I would say we are not against them in any way. We will, on the opposite, we will try to work with them. And there is federations that are certain skill sets. There is federations that have taken other sports into sport accord. And the question is, can we work together? Can we get them to join us? There is a point for us to start from scratch, to start from zero. Just that we don't want to represent a certain group or team or background or family or whatever you want. We want to be completely neutral and then try to work with everyone. I think one of the biggest challenges for us, we take Brazil for example, there is 6 MMA federations in Brazil.
Wow.
And yeah, we could of course easily pick one of them, but that would alienate the other 5. So it's not, I think we could easily have 100 countries represented in our federation in short time. Question is, will they be alienating others? Will there be multiple federations in Brazil? Our challenge in Brazil will be to talk with all 6 and say, could you maybe work together? Could maybe 3 or 4 of these, join forces, become one national federation and start working? In Sweden there is one MMA federation, there is one Swedish MMA Federation, which all associations and all clubs are member in, and that's our goal.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense, and that's how any recognized sports work. How many international football associations, or there is one amateur boxing association, there is one wrestling federation worldwide. You don't see 5 or 6. So we're not going to try to compete with others. Anyone being non-profit and democratic, we will try to work together with. We're going to try to work and unite especially in countries where it's already polarized. We will try to make them work together.
Now, hundreds of countries, thousands of federations, amateur, pro, everyone with different goals, so to speak, in a lot of times. Patience, is that a good word?
Patience and long time planning. Also, honesty. I think that the ideals we have, I think most can say, yeah, we want this to be a recognized sport. Which athlete would not have the dream of fighting in the Olympics?
Right.
That I think I think everyone would agree that having one big international federation that organize everyone would be something good. So we will focus on the important thing that anyone, non-profit and democratic, would like to sign. And then we go from what unites us.
Now, you're talking about a progress, and you mentioned Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, which also is involved in mixed martial arts, obviously, to submission wrestling, and then amateur mixed martial arts, shoe fighting, into professional mixed martial arts. Do you see yourself working with certain organizations or certain aspects of the sport primarily, or do you think are you planning on joining forces with all of the parts to the game at the same time?
Yeah, I would say that we're going to be a mixed martial arts federation.
Right.
And of course we're closely related. There's a lot of wrestlers. There's
Right.
a lot of Olympic wrestlers that are in the UFC, for example. There's also Olympic judokas. But each sport, I mean, they can help each other, but each sport is their own individual sport. The judo has its own international federation, wrestling has. We're going to focus, of course, on the MMA purely. That's what we're going to do. Then there's always you can do common projects, you can help each other out, you can make contact, you can push certain people that maybe can help. But overall we need to focus on mixed martial arts, MMA as a sport.
Now, Europe and the United States, I would say, obviously Brazil as well, are the three main areas for mixed martial arts. Obviously every country has mixed martial art fighters. Are you planning on starting in Europe and spreading the word, or going internationally, literally internationally right away?
Yeah, maybe I can answer that. I don't agree with you. You have mixed martial arts everywhere.
Right,
It's huge in Asia. It's huge in Russia. India is also coming. You have it all over the world.
Of course, yes.
So we could not, start by going to somebody first and then, leaving somebody out. I think we will go really, really broad. We will go everywhere from the beginning. And then obviously, things have come, further maybe in some countries than in others.
Right.
And as August mentioned, some countries might be more fragmented due to history than others. But I feel that, we're quite sure if we look at other sports, they've been able to come together and say, look, we might have differences, but we have one interest that unites us and that joins us. Let's sit down and see if we can work this out. And especially it's also a question of responsibility. You have young people coming into this sport. If you want to be recognized by states and governments, this is what you have to do. And that's also why the platform that August is mentioning, non-profit, democratic, will work well, because then nobody has their own interest in mind. So this will be a very broad initiative all over the world.
Guys, it sounds amazing. First of all, congratulations. I'm very excited about it and wish you nothing but luck. One last question for you. Main event Saturday night in Globen. Who do you think is going to win the fight?
I've been following Alex since he first stepped into
You've coached him for some time as well.
Yeah, I coached him. He started at the academy where I'm teaching. We followed him from start. I think if I'm going to be neutral, that he has very good chances on Saturday. That's neutral. If I'm not neutral, I've seen him growing up in this sport from the first day in the dojo. So I'm 100% all in Alex, of course. As Sweden, as one of his coaches from the start and so on. But I think it's a fantastic fight. I think the opponent should be respected.
Yes.
And that's a really good main event. It's exciting. It's MMA, so anything could happen. And out of a you know, president for a federation, I'm happy for a really good fight that I hope will show MMA at its best, and then the best athlete should win. That's what sports is about, right?
Absolutely. George?
Yes, I have to agree.
You agree with that?
Yes, of course. And I'm looking forward to a great sporting event. And we're also very proud to have all these great athletes come all the way to Sweden, despite the awful weather we've provided for them. And obviously, being the host here, we wouldn't want to pick anybody, you know, before anybody else. So we're really looking forward to this, and we're very proud to have this here in Stockholm.
We're all looking forward to Saturday night, April 14th, here in Stockholm, Globen. Guys, thank you so much for your time, and look forward to see you on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.